horticultural.
Remind me after so this one happens.
11. Okay. So begin our meeting with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for being here. Any additions or deletions from the agenda? You know what?
I have an addition. I need authorization to submit application for a community development block grant. It's one of the listed items on the 5-year plan.
Okay. I'll do it under 5A. And then at the end, I would like to have an executive session for personnel reasons and legal reasons to include the clerk and the attorney.
So 14.
Actually, 13. Yeah,
Oh.
whatever.
Well, the
You're right.
adjournment
I can't-
will be
I can't
that, there
adjourn.
won't be
Oh,
any
yeah.
business taken care afterwards.
Right.
I just wanted to discuss something about those two items. Okay.
I'm sure.
So our meeting minutes from March 24th, 2025.
Motion to
Two
accept.
amendments, just really a name, change, addition, and, title for the DPW, instead of director, superintendent. So,
Move to accept the minutes.
Okay, moved and
Second.
seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstract dated today, number 19, in the amount of $78,262.
So move. Second.
Second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Our department will start with the fire.
Okay, I finally got the proposal from CNY Rick to do the repairs. It's to the tune of $48,3693. It's for 2 of the switches for the IT and a firewall and installation.
And this was something you were gonna perhaps pursue through insurance after,
Correct.
whatever, due to the winds and things that affected the cause of this, so. A motion to go forward with those repairs that are necessary.
So moved.
Second.
And second, any discussions?
What was the number? Was it 4,000 or 40?
4,000.
$4,836.93.
Yep, okay.
I was starting to think it was 48,000 also.
No. 48,3693.
That's a bargain.
No, not a bargain, but
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay,
I had you pull the board for the temporary hire of Jack Shepherdson.
Yep.
So I think we just need to make it a
so if we can have a motion to hire Jack Shepherd.
Permanently?
Permanent,
temporary.
oh,
Temporary.
temporary hire.
That's before provisional as well. So the temporary, then if he's on the list and we can reach him through the residency, we'll hire him as a provisional. So it's gonna be a process, but this is mandate for us, so.
let's wait.
So moved.
Then moved and seconded, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And then I have the resignation from Lincoln McGarity, effective April 27th.
a motion to accept his,
So move.
Second.
seconded, April 2nd.
April 27th is its last shift.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Then, couple housekeeping things. I need to do officer promotions. And they will be a provisional appointment as well. We have to promote 2. So, I'd like to make those promotions so that we can have them ready to go. They're gonna go on shift in May as a provisional. They'll get pinned at Memorial Day.
Okay,
So, it'd be Lincoln McGarity, or not Lincoln McGarity, Nate Baker and John Lasco. And it'll be at the proposed new payroll structure.
And what are they going to? What are they being promoted to?
2 lieutenants.
Moved by Dan, seconded by Mark. Any other discussion or questions for the chief? All in favor?
The next thing is their pinning. I just made mention, we're gonna have their pinning ceremony the morning of the Memorial Day parade. So like 8 o'clock-ish, gonna have to figure out that again, but
We'll start working on that.
yeah.
Yeah, be careful because of the.
Well.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to plan it so we can do both, but
Okay,
but you'll need to be there to swear them in, Mike.
What is both? So I.
The veterans doing the salute
Oh, that's
over here at the
what I
park,
thought.
the
So,
Legion, veterans of.
They should be out there.
We're never there by 8:15, so.
No, they do it right before, right, they're supposed to do it. by
Yeah.
8, but-
They're supposed to be.
And then the last thing I have is the 29th of this month, Captain Felchtano is retiring. So you're all invited to his retirement lunch,
Thank you.
what day?
April 29th.
That's his lunch.
That's his lunch.
And then open house,
It's the 26th,
and what was the time of that?
10 to 2. That's it.
Anything else for the chief, anyone? Okay, thank you. DPW, the memo. Would you get a copy or-
Oh, sorry,
Would you-
looking at me,
That's okay,
I'm looking at Bobby.
I'll be either one of you, whatever you want to do.
Bobby, why don't you go, you wanna go ahead and? do
Yeah,
that
that's
for me?
fine.
Yeah,
So the county delivered, everything that they owe us for salt for the year. So we're probably sitting on 300-ish tons right now. So like we talked about, I would like to put in an order for 150 tons while we're still on this county contract, and I still have some money left in the snow budget. So that'll put us at 450 for next year, and assuming that the production of salt gets back to where it needs to be, we shouldn't have to order much salt next year then. I'm just afraid that the price of salt is going to go up by 10 or 15%, so while it's still at this price, I'd like to at least get what we can afford. So I have a little bit over 10,000 left in snow. This would be a little bit over 7,000 for 150 tons.
So.
second,
Okay, any other discussion, all in favor?
All right.
Okay,
And then I got a quote from Henderson Equipment. Our dump truck, the wing mount on it is shifted a little bit. Over time, it's 4 years old, so to replace that's $3,978.17. So I'd like to do that again before next winter. That way that truck, I don't have to monkey with it in November trying to get it ready to go for the fall. I'd rather get it the parts in now and do it over the summer while we have some time.
so move,
moved
second,
and seconded, any other discussion?
Quick question.
Yeah.
What budget are you pushing that on this year's?
That would be central garage, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
And then, the Cornell Local Road Highway School Training, is the first week of June, and I'd like to send Tyler and I to that again. It's in Ithaca, it's a Monday through Wednesday, it's a total of $250, and then, I'm working on getting some pricing for a hotel for 2 nights as well, but I would like the 2 of us to go as well.
Motion,
is it 250 for the both of you or 250?
That's all together. Yep.
So move to send them to training
Yep.
and
pay for their hotel and their.
to pay for
Yep.
hotel and lodging and meals. I'll second.
Seconded by Casey. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And then, Alan Smith has been with us for a couple of years now. He is kind of in limbo. So he's technically a laborer, but we're paying him, I think it's 90% of a maintenance worker rate until he can achieve his CDL. I know we've been working, on some stuff, with the union on it. The union does offer training for CDL school. And there's some back office stuff that Lori, Mike and I would need to work out with sending an employee to get the training, but I would like to at least get the ball rolling so that we can get him to a full maintenance worker rate. So I just wanted to kind of let the board know that that's kind of in the works, that we're trying to work with the union on doing some training. Comparisons to other places, I've seen 6,000, I've seen 5,000. So it's kind of right in line with the price of sending him anywhere else.
So to get a CDL license, you have to have some formal training from a formal instructor or certified type of instructor as opposed to what used to happen in the past.
Yep.
So that's where the expense comes now from what we had before, so.
So is that 4,000 like a total,
That would be the
or is that
total.
just the fee?
Oh, that would be total for Mr. Smith.
The only thing,
his training.
the only thing that bothers me about it is if he gets it, we pay for it and then he leaves.
So that's what
That's
we're
some of the
working
stuff
on.
that we're working on, so I don't know that we're ready to just say that
Okay.
we want to do this, but if everybody's in agreement, we're gonna be coming back to you with something about it.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
Well,
or is like a kind of similar to what we do in the fire department. As an example, is some kind of a payback type of schedule for paying for somebody in the future to go for CDL training and then have a payback period as far as if they leave our employment, so that we don't
Yeah.
pay to train people, other employees for other places. Anything or no? Okay. All right,
Alright, and then in terms of projects, we did some tree takedowns last week and the week before, 109 Green Street. And then 126/124 Wood Nancy, it's in between the two. And 129 Shady. They were all rotting, so we took those down last week. We ground the stumps at the senior center last week as well. Those will get topsoiled over the next few weeks and grass seeded. We've begun sweeping the roads. We will get through every road first, and then we will kind of continue to get back on that schedule. So it might be a bit before you see the sweeper on your road again, just as we're trying to get through every village road first, and then we'll kind of make the rounds throughout the summer. The pickleball court opened this morning, and so did the dog park. So those are all set, they're open. They were cleaned and everything like that last week, so they're all open, the nets are up. In terms of parks, the retaining wall around Beard Park needs some attention. There's 2 spots on Lincoln Street and then 1 spot by the Lilies. So we'll get to those over the next few weeks as well. We're continuing to do some spring cleaning, just edging, weeding, trying to get some normal spring cleaning stuff done in the park so that when it's time for mulching and Memorial Day prep, we're ready to go. In terms of Canal Landing, the bathrooms will open on May 1st. I have ordered a replacement urinal for the one that was damaged late summer. So that will be installed this week. I'm working on getting some different quotes on stalls for that men's room as well. So that's where we stand with Canal Landing. So the urinal will be back up and functional this week. And then the water will be turned on for a May 1st opening, so that'll be ready. Continuing to work at the senior center cottage, and then. In terms of sidewalks, we're gonna be replacing a couple pads at 204 East Tennessee Street over the next couple weeks as well. And then in terms of personnel, I have a resignation from Taylor Jones from March 21st. His last day was actually last Friday.
You want red?
you want to hear it or you can if you want. Or you wanna hear
He
it?
left us to go be a town of Cicero police officer.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Taylor Jones.
Where is he going?
Town of Cicero Police Department.
Oh,
So we can read the letter or we can just enter it into the minutes.
and if it's complimentary of DPW, let's read it.
Dear Village of Fayetteville, it is with a heavy heart that I inform you today of my resignation from the Department of Public Works. My last day of work in the village will be 4/4/25. In the past few months, I have been pursuing a career in law enforcement. An opportunity has arisen to start that career with the town of Cicero. Thank you for trusting me and accepting me to help in your community these past 4 years. I have nothing but great things to say about Fayetteville. I look forward to my visits here as I look if this is a see you later rather than a goodbye. Thank you and wish me luck in my next chapter. Taylor Jones.
Good luck.
I'm glad I asked for that. That was a
Yeah.
very nice letter.
I wanted him to come back and do a dramatic reading, but he said. no.
So a motion to accept with regrets.
So moved.
Second.
Second, I just want to comment that he is one of the few, if not the only DPW employee that would come to our board meetings with you long before you were superintendent. The two of you would come to attend our board meetings, so he did show an interest in a lot of aspects of the village. So we're sorry to lose him, but we're glad that he's moving on to something that he wants to do. So.
Yes.
All in
When he
favor?
gets trained, can he come? Can he come?
Well, we don't hire police officers, but maybe a fireman if you want. I mean, we might need one, you never know.
We had a police officer.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
And then to that note, we're getting close to summer help season. I do have 3 applications for summer help. Right now, we're only looking to hire 2. So that I'll be putting names up soon for hiring for summer help. We will need to fill Taylor's spot as a full-time maintenance worker, and then we're still also looking for a full-time mechanic.
Well, that mechanic position is,
It's hard to compete privately.
no, I know, all the same reasons still exist.
Yeah.
Just wondering if there's another way for trying to cut, I don't know, try to be creative.
I've thought about going to BOCES and trying to get someone that maybe could work 20 hours a week or something. To get like a certified diesel mechanic is gonna be really hard, but if we could get just like a service mechanic, someone that could diagnose trucks or do preventative maintenance, that would be a huge help to us.
What about instead of hiring a mechanic to be with us, which is our number 1 preference? It's been at least a year since you've been looking, right? If
Yep.
not longer. What about while you continue to look? Us establish some kind of contractual relationship with a private mechanic.
We could look into it. I can try to talk to LTS, which is who we typically send our trucks to, and just see if I can get like a quote on maybe, 1 day a month or something, trying to get a mechanic to come in and take a look at our trucks and stuff like that.
If that would be helpful to you.
The Village of Manlius has been helping us out quite a bit. We shared an inspection machine with them. We purchased it together. So they do all of our inspections, and their mechanic, Scott, also happens to work part-time at LTS. So he's a certified diesel mechanic. So if we have issues and he's free, the Village of Manlius has been helping us out with allowing him to do work on our trucks as well. So minor stuff, hydraulic hoses, oil changes, stuff like that, Tyler and I can do, but anything kind of outside of normal service stuff really has to go out. So like I said, I've been trying to kind of explore maybe doing some type of like internship program with BOCES, or same thing, maybe if we could get even just a part-time mechanic for 20 hours a week and we can go outside the contract and pay them a different rate. We've talked about that as well, so. Yeah, they have an auto mechanic, school, yeah. So. Just trying to kind
Yeah.
of kick the tires on everything right
Yeah.
now, just to see,
Yeah.
so.
Well, let us know if there's anything we can do to help you.
Absolutely. And then just some housekeeping stuff. Friday is Good Friday. So hard fill and kitchen compost will be picked up on next Monday. Recycling will stay the same. I'm gonna have 2 guys work Friday, either take Monday off or take Thursday off. We'll just rotate the holiday for 2 guys, so.
Okay. Okay, anything else for the DPW? No,
That's good.
Busy. Great report.
So you don't have to worry about Friday because you got a couple guys to work.
Yep.
Because originally, we were gonna do that Monday.
Beautiful.
That's how we advertised it.
Recycling,
Everything was postponed to Monday.
we can,
No, I just wanted to clarify, because so I can put information out one way or the other to make sure everyone's on the same page.
I'll I'll talk to the guys today and just double check that the guys that said they could still can, so.
Okay.
The other thing I have is the pothole over here on 257.
Do you want me to do it, or do you want me to try to get a hold of the state?
We need somebody to do it, so I don't care, whatever you think is appropriate, it's fine with me, but it's like a foot deep or
Yeah.
it's where the trolley tracks. are.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly.
I was asked about it this morning as well.
Almost took my tire out
It's a
yesterday.
That
weird-
pothole
It's
over
a
that
not-
side.
like, it's a county
Springs and-
road.
Yeah.
And a
It's
state
like-
road.
It's like square in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Right, I know, that's, I just
Drive
said,
around it.
drive
That's what you would say.
I do drive around it,
I
but I'd
know.
like it fixed for people that don't know that
I've
it's there.
been, I've been sitting here with you for so long, pull the blinds down, drive around it.
Okay,
Yeah, well,
however
yeah.
you wanna take care of it is fine with me, but I'd
Yeah.
like somebody to take a look at it. And see what
Yes.
we can do. Okay, anything else? Right, next we have an application for a chicken permit application, assuming that's, you're here for that. The address is 134 Shady Lane. We have all the appropriate things listed here. We have a drawing of it. I have a survey. Did you get copies of this, everybody? I don't know what, who got what. Okay, wow. So, any questions on your end about things? Okay, anybody here that's a neighbor or anything related to that? Oh, we have a couple of people here, so we'll hear from you.
Greg,
Hello.
I'm Ron Becker, and I live across the street from Greg. And I was looking at the copy of the application and the guidance that goes with it. One of the things that struck me, kind of surprised me, is that the guidance allows for chickens to be permitted to roam freely on the property outside the enclosure, as long as they don't leave the property. There's not much specification about that required, except that they don't leave the property. It seemed in the limited area there, it didn't seem to me to be a realistic permission first of all, be a big problem with enforcement, I think. There's a lot of traffic goes by on Brookside Lane in front of his house with people, walkers, bicycles, dogs, there's probably 15 or 20 different dogs every day that go by there. I can't see that it would be a useful practice. I can understand that maybe in some unlimited situations, they might want to have the tickets out, run around a little bit. But I just wanted to comment on that aspect of the guidance, because the guidance is not very specific. It actually suggested that perhaps if you had high fencing or something of that nature, but which doesn't exist here.
Right, so that's probably how it was written, or the intention was it before, was because if you say that they can't run free and you do have a fenced in yard where they could run free, then, you know, we can't write the thing so
I could see
specific.
some yards with a really tall fence, but even then, the chickens are at risk. And particularly, at this lot where it's adjacent to Green Lakes Park in the woods. And the daily circling of the red-tailed hawks. So fun.
Well, that's a chance they gotta take now, you know, we can't put that in the law about the hawks. But we'll see. Do you have any comments about?
Honestly, I had the same concerns, like, I would like to let them out, but I'm with the coyotes and the hawks and whatever, and the dogs.
You
that are
probably
walking.
won't do.
They're not gonna be unsupervised at
Okay.
any point, so
Okay.
that's.
The other comment I want to make, it's not really in relation to Greg, I guess, but more in terms of guidance. Guidance calls for maintaining good cleaning of the enclosure, the coop and the enclosures, regular removal of manure and detritus that accumulates there. But it says, and responsible for proper disposal. And I kind of wondered what proper disposal amounts to or requires. Because there would be the issue of, can it be disposed on that property and then accumulate? So that's a question that isn't really addressed. And I also wanted to mention that I know there's been a lot of interest in chickens in recent years. And in many municipal residential areas where chickens are really referred to as backyard chickens. But in this case, the yard situation is a little different. And whereas the facilities proposed on the plan, it's more in the front yard situation. My only question is there any conflicts with residential zoning in terms of the positioning of where he wants to have the chicken infrastructure?
Not that I'm aware of. It has to be a certain distance from property lines. That's, I believe, how it's been written so
Some of
far.
the ordinances that you read about are very specific, limited to so many feet from the boundary line, so many inches from the back line, and so on, but
Right.
the guidance that I've been able to read has been so general. That's all. I just want to make these comments and good success for your chickens.
All right, thank you.
Well, you understand that when, with this, if there is an issue and you let the codes officer know about it, the codes officer then meets with them.
I guess that's another question I had in terms of compliance with things. Is there a regularized system where someone in the village structure is responsible for periodic inspection?
No, there's nothing in place like that.
it's
So
all
we,
on call basis?
Yeah.
correct, the village has a codes officer, so just like this, or just like if there was other complaints about a neighbor about how something was being done or not done, you would call the codes office and tell them that there's a problem. Codes officer would go and talk to, in this particular situation, to these gentlemen and resolve the situation with them.
I did notice also to say that the application requires the license from either the town of Manlius or the state of New York. And we assume that such license is better, if it's required, is better secured.
I believe so. Everything has been reviewed by the code officer, so I believe everything is in proper order for our particular laws and rules here in the village.
Whether
Yeah, I don't think there's a license.
I don't think there's a license, yeah, not, yeah,
Yeah, maybe for.
just for like dogs or whatever, you have a dog license that's available through the town, but chickens there isn't, I don't believe.
The animal ordinance, like refers licensing just for that purpose.
But everything appears to be in order, or else it wouldn't have gotten this far to the board. The codes officer reviewed it with them. They made the application through our codes office. And so he's reviewed their plan, their site plan for where it's going to be located. The structure, all the trustees have a copy of that. And everything is to the point where it's able to be approved by this board at this point. So any of those things have been addressed or whatever.
Yep. Oh, yeah, Dave Marno, 123, Shady Lane. Just have a couple of quick questions. I looked at the permit online and you can have up to 12 chickens. How many chickens will you be having?
Gonna have until next 12.
The 12. And then what will you be doing with the eggs? Are you going to be selling them or they're for personal use or
On the even.
so they're for personal? You're not going to like have a corner stand?
No, I wasn't planning. on
Okay,
it.
I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
So
And
as
they're
I,
good for the ticks, by the way.
they are good for
Right.
chicks.
They already gonna give them to the neighbors.
Yeah, well, I'll be down.
Take one question.
Yeah.
Okay. so-
Are both of the Mr. Potters gonna be working on the construction? Great. Maybe you'll give us some pictures of the posting, because it looks like a very fancy.
Yeah, very elaborate.
Very nice.
with a lot of space for them too.
Looking forward to get going.
There's, for anybody who's interested, there is a chicken coop. You could call it the front yard, you could call it the side yard, but it's in the front part of the house near the road. Is it Walnut Street?
Warren Street.
Warren
The
Street.
first block right by the corner of Warren and Clinton
And
Street.
that's a very active corner with dog walkers, joggers, lots of vehicles, lots of biking, you know, so it's just a very active corner. And I don't think we've received any concerns or complaints with bad interactions, if you will, between animals, chickens and dogs, chickens and cats, whatever, coyote. They're all around us. But if you wanted to go down there and take a look at what that coop looks like, it's just a way to understand how one's been existing in our village for years now. And it seems to, I haven't heard of any complaints, so it seems to work out well.
They moved from, Manland Street over.
Yeah, they moved down there, yeah.
Just to address the waste question that was brought up, what would be the plan?
So there's a-
It doesn't necessarily matter to our concern, but just to address it.
There's a, basically there's a leaf pile in the back corner next to the shed that is gonna double as a compost pile, and then we're gonna add some flowers and a little bit of like a raised garden space, and so it'll be mulching in with the flowers around the beds and everything.
So your compost,
Full
yeah.
cycle.
Yeah.
Compost. Okay. Motion to approve this chicken.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so you're good to go. Whatever you have to do with Mike, if anything with the codes officer, that's fine. Just go forward with the understanding that there are complaints from neighbors, some things like that, or that can't be resolved, then we do have the ability to withdraw the permit from you. Which you probably already know, but I mean, just so you.
The one question I just saw, the permit fee, is this an annual or is this a one-time?
I think it's a one-time fee.
Okay. All right.
The rest of it can pay eggs.
One and done.
I'll make one comment. I suggest you confine your chickens because particularly for your location, but all over our area, we have fox, we have red-tailed hawks, we have all sorts of stuff around here. And from personal experience in dealing with my son's chickens, and I grew up with chickens, by the way, grew up in the country. We have a lot of predators that just love chickens. That's all I can say. So you do the best for your own concern. They're not cheap anymore to buy.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming down, yep. Okay, 5A is the authorization to apply for the community development block grant that Lori mentioned.
Yes, we submitted a 5-year plan, which really focused on the parks and handicap accessibility to all of our parks. This year's submission for application would be to create more accessibility and add some structures to the playground equipment in Coulter Park and Canal Landing Park. So create an access down into, you can explain that better, how the access is difficult into Coulter Park to get to the playground for any, anybody that has any special needs. And also the Canal Landing Park, some of those pathways, as you said, are really starting to, be rolling and, need some work. And also, I think there is no equipment in either of those playgrounds for handicap use.
There's one swing in Coulter that's handicapped.
Canal Landing is what I meant.
Canal Landing, there's no
Nothing.
handicap accessible swing.
So we'd like to submit to the county for community development block grant for those improvements to 2 specific parks.
Do we submit for a certain amount of money? Do we go get some quote for those improvements and then submit that? How does this work?
We will need to submit a budget that's the maximum amount you can request is $50,000. That's the
what we
amount
put
I
in
would be
for.
requesting because the cost of
Yes.
these walkways
Yes.
is very
That's why I'm
costly.
asking. Yeah,
Um,
for us to do it right, we need to spend some money on it. Otherwise, you're just gonna repeat what happened.
right,
before.
and we might not get in Canal Landing Park, it might be just a section of the trail that was done and then maybe some additional equipment. So
So we're gonna submit for 50,000?
50,000, and of that, it's there in the application, it is basically in your best, it looks more favorable when the village is willing, whether it be in kind or
Sure.
to have a 25% match. So ours, we've always done that. Essentially, we're asking, it's a $50,000 grant, asking them for 37.5.
Gotcha.
Motion to
So moved.
Second.
and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
So with allowing me to submit that application, we also will have to have a public hearing on this though. So I actually request that the board set up a public hearing for the first meeting in May, which would be May 12th.
Okay, motion for that.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's all good. Okay, so we're going to today open our public hearing in regards to our 25-26 budget. And take any comments. People, if you are watching or if you watch this in the future, you're able to submit comments through our next scheduled special meeting, which is Monday, April 21st at 6 o'clock, again here in this boardroom. At that point, we will be closing the public hearing on that date, and we will be finalizing and approving the budget at our final meeting of October, which is October 28th.
Not October.
Or April 28th,
Thank you.
sorry. Maybe October is our final meeting, who knows, but April 28th will be the meeting that we need to pass the budget to comply with state mandated laws in regards to what we are going to do. So before we open the public hearing, just a little bit of information for anybody that is interested to know about this, that the budget for the Village of Fayetteville is the responsibility of the mayor and the board of trustees to review and put together each year. This year, we had 5 workshops regarding the budget. We reviewed with the department heads line by line, scrutinizing the obligatory and requested budget amounts. Our total budget is $8,352,274. An increase over last year's budget by about 9.4%. When we talk about budgeting and funding that budget, it is funded in 3 different ways. Estimated revenue that we receive for different items within the village. As one example, the fire department is funded by some outside the village residents that are provided protection and EMS services for fire and ambulance outside of the Village of Fayetteville. They're assigned a tax that is then collected and paid to the village. So that's part of our revenue. There's a lot of other areas of revenue, from state money to county money, other things in general. The amount raised by taxes this year will be $3,354,359. This is called the tax levy. This tax levy is an increase over last year's of 6.79%. Opposed to last year's tax levy increase, which was 12.8%. So we kind of cut that just about in half from last year. And that is in conjunction with another aspect of what goes into how we calculate budgeting and tax rates and things like that. And that is your tax assessment, which this year increased 13.26% for village residents overall. So not everybody's tax assessment went up the same amount. Some maybe stayed the same, some were less, many were more. The tax levy, that's the amount that we're talking about right now that affects you the most, is then described as what the tax rate will be to generate the 3 million plus money that we need. And this year's tax rate is proposed at $6.60, a decrease of 5.7% from last year's tax rate of $7. And if you go back to 5 years ago in 2020, it's a decrease in the tax rate of 8.5%. Obviously, factors contribute to the decrease is prudent review of each budget. And we did that this year along with previous years. And the amount of revenue and unexpended fund balance that goes into providing for the cost of the budget. Included in the budget are the fixed costs, just to name a few. salaries for our employees, employee benefits, property and liability insurances, utilities, things of that nature, services provided by the Department of Public Works, the fire and ambulance, EMS services, the clerk's office, the codes office, recreational items, cultural and celebrations, historical, the Manlius Museum, the Gage Foundation, and the village clock that we have in the steeple of the United Church here in Fayetteville, and other necessary costs such as like legal and engineering. We've also included in this year's budget proposal 2 new reserve accounts, one being the Employee Benefit Accrued Liability Reserve, which is a reserve account that will help offset expenses if employees or when employees leave our employ and they have accrued time that we have to pay for. So we have funds that we were beginning to set aside to take care of that as time goes on. And the second is to proactively set up funds for larger building maintenance expenses. So our buildings have all been renovated and we have paid for them over the years as far as any bonding is concerned. This is the last year that we will be paying for the renovations that we did at the fire department. But now that, probably been almost 20 some years since this building that we're in right now has been renovated, we're looking at the potential of having to replace our boiler system to the tune of several $1,000s that we want to start putting money away so that we have money to take. Yeah,
Yes.
That we want to start putting money away towards some of those expenses, larger building expenses that wouldn't come out of just a normal every year type of budget. So we're starting to set money aside. So that's kind of an overview of the budget. And so I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Okay, I think that we will probably have trustees wait for any comments until the next meeting when we close the public hearing. But just to kind of just be thinking about that or whatever. So I would open the public hearing. Any comments, questions from anyone here? Sarah?
I've got a few things.
Okay,
Sarah Ballinger, Cybridge Street, on the plan for the design guidelines. In 2000, so it was 22,000 last year and 22,000 this year. My question is, does that mean it was 44 altogether, or yeah, to be it was 44 altogether? And then on the fire department, naturally, there's a few things, but I'm wondering if the personnel of fire department personnel that was reduced is the same person as was increased in fire personnel increase. So lost my circles. But is it the same person that just moved lines? Or is there a change in fire department personnel?
So the captain retires, is that what she's talking about? The captain retired and he was in the 1624 payroll account. And that position got moved down to the regular fire
Okay,
line.
that's what I thought.
Is that what you're
And
talking about?
yes, and then there's a new fire reserve that wasn't there last year. Is that a for a thing that we're gonna?
That is something that is the village's share of the capital plan.
Okay.
That we,
Oh.
for 82.5, is it?
82.5, yeah.
82.5, yeah.
Okay.
So we are budgeting for our portion of the capital plan. And you have your portion that we put into the contract.
And then on the DPW, didn't get a reserve that you had before. 5.
That was for the capital improvement reserve. We did not fund that reserve this year. We actually have that extra piece of equipment over inside in the lease purchases because you're getting a new truck after June 1st. We thought it would be here before.
Okay, so
But
just
we have-
timing.
Right.
And then the chips, I assume that was the 24 chips, why the amount is up, because we don't know what the chips is for 22.
I have the chips number. I mean, from last year, the
From
roll.
last year, right,
and
because
the- yeah.
it's a higher amount, but that was,
Pardon me?
it's 350 is the higher amount.
Yeah, we actually have more in chips than 350, but from what Lieutenant Hall put in for the work that he wants to do, I believe that's all you have for anticipated work. As you know, CHIPS is a refund program.
You have to pay it.
So what I have budgeted there
you'll see the same amount under revenue, so it is a net zero impact on the overall budget.
And then my last question is about trees, the tree commission and the actual tree purchases look like both of them went up. Are we
So the,
implementing the plan that?
so with the, right, with the tree commission, we did the inventory similar to what you did with the town inventory. And then we have a management plan that calls for certain things, and so we did appropriate this year $50,000, which I didn't go in my review of, but we did appropriate $50,000 towards the beginning of maintenance of our street trees. That was different. The remaining balance in there would be for planting trees or the normal types of things that we might be doing with it. So that is a big increase over last year's budget.
So my question, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I just have a question and a comment. I apologize because I didn't do a lot of research, but
That's okay.
are you recognizing revenue for the ambulance service within the village as income coming in? And if so, do you know what that amount is?
We do recognize it as revenue coming in, and I think this year we're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $175,000. We're short, $75,000 from, our
What you had
projected
budget? Yeah,
budgeted amount, I think was $1,025,000.
that's good.
And that is shared in the contract with the town, so whatever we.
That's why I asked, because I'm familiar with the town. side.
Yes,
Yeah, so
yes.
good, glad to hear that. And then the second, I just want to comment, I think it's very smart of all of you to have reserves set up as you go forth with maintenance, because it can be very cumbersome, you know, when something goes. So it's good that you're planning for the future. So I just wanted to make that comment
Thank you.
as a taxpayer of the village.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, Dave.
No problem.
Anyone else? Okay, so we need a motion to continue the public hearing.
Go ahead. I'll second.
Moved and seconded, and we are going to continue the public hearing until our meeting on 6 o'clock on April 21st.
Can you
For
explain what
further
that means in terms of the hearing part being more written, you know, between now and then?
I just mentioned the written part in case someone can't attend this meeting or can't attend the meeting on April 21st. They have between now and April 21st to submit any written comments to the village for us to take into consideration regarding the budget. They're welcome to come here in person, like we heard from a couple of people here today. And they're welcome to come to that next meeting. And we left that open because our next meeting is scheduled for 6 o'clock. Today's meeting was scheduled for 11. So we want to make sure we give everyone as much opportunity to come and speak to us as is available to them. But we are, unlike any other type of public hearing, we do accept any kind of written comments that people want to make to the village.
So
And
on that note, if I would recommend that whatever written comments or questions we do receive between now and then, that they get read into.
I don't want email, I want written.
No, I don't care. My point is that it gets read into the
the
minutes during the meeting. So if someone takes the time to come to the meeting, they hear it. That's the whole purpose of it being public.
Right.
Because one question by one person may lead to a question by another person. So I don't want us to just receive them and collect them in writing. I'd like us to receive them, collect them, and then read them out loud
It's called transparency.
and answer them. Go ahead.
It's called transparency.
Yeah, it's also,
I don't
it's
think-
also living up to the word public.
Right.
So
Right.
we're trying
I
to
don't-
accommodate everybody. Go ahead and I'll be quiet.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think that. You don't have to be quiet, but I'm gonna talk anyway. No, that's all fine, and I don't think anyone here would have any kind of question or doubt about that. So that's a good thing to bring up and to say, so that people watching will know that their voice will be heard, no matter how they communicate with us. But it does have to be presented by that board meeting, because we are closing the public hearing at the next board meeting, and we don't take public comment. You certainly can comment after that, but that's not going to be taken into consideration upon our vote for the budget. Let's put it that way to clear it up. Yep.
Can we also put your comments, your introductory comments on the website? Because I think that really captured a lot of what's happening. So if I'm just Jane Citizen, I think that really helps me to understand better what's.
We can figure that out with Karen. I'm sure there's a way to do something like that.
I'm also gonna put it in minutes.
Yeah,
I do
but it
have
may
that
have to be
big
cleaned up a little
part.
bit for the,
Can we get copies?
oh, sure.
Let's get cleaned up.
Can I get a copy?
I didn't read everything word for word that I had written down, but that's the gist of what I had written down, and that's the numbers that we had talked about and discussed.
It's great
And
work.
where we went and why we went there and how we got to where we are today with it. Particularly want people to understand and know that this is not just something that we look at and don't take into consideration by reviewing everything line by line in the whole budget, which is what we've traditionally done for many years, but this year especially, we did that again. So we continued that same process. Okay, thank you. Next,
Did we vote on the
oh,
motion?
on the, to continue it, I don't know,
Yeah.
so. All in favor of continuing the public hearing until the next meeting?
Uh,
Okay, thank you. I probably got carried away. Next on the agenda is setting a public hearing for the tax cap override. So this is something that we do every year. We are obligated by New York State to keep within a certain amount that we can, that the tax rate changes.
The tax levy.
The tax levy changes. And so as a way of protection, whether it does or doesn't, we pass this tax cap override like many boards do, so that we are not fined by New York State. And we're over it or we're not over it. We're over it, so we kind of have to do this so we don't get fined from New York State.
So
second.
So we'll set the public hearing for our next meeting on May, or the 21st,
The 28th.
on the 28th, okay.
And just to clarify for the minutes, the tax levy is 6.7%. So that's why we would need to go up from 2%.
Yes.
6.7 or 6.6?
6.7, $6.60 is the tax
The tax
rate.
rate, but the amount of the tax
Levy.
levy is going up 6.79%.
Yeah,
I got the number.
okay.
Well, you can read this and you can correct.
So,
Oh, okay,
so you made the motion, Dan?
I seconded.
Okay, thank you.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have a solicitor's permit for True Green. We talked about it at the last meeting and we didn't have everything in place, but now we have everything in place to authorize this gentleman to go for True Green lawn care company to solicit within our village, and I would say he would do it under the normal parameters of the timing and things that we have set in place in the past. So a motion to allow him to do that.
So moved.
Second.
And seconded, all in favor?
Yeah, can we have some discussion?
Okay, sure.
Um,
Sorry, I rushed it. I didn't mean to.
I have people come to my door, but I don't see the solicitor permits coming past us. And I recently had a very assertive person come to my door, which raised that question.
Oh, can you say where they're from?
I think it's best I don't.
I'm just
I
saying,
can tell
many
you-
people don't know they need a solicitor's permit and we'll get a phone call, but we also notify the town of Manlius Police Department. Who has a valid solicitor's permit to be going door to door. We've had times where people have called and then the police have followed up and told them they need to go through the proper channels.
Right.
So it is possible that they were just had no idea. If they're selling Anderson windows, or I don't know what they might be doing home improvement, so.
Sometimes they get one from the town of Manlius. They think it's good enough to go throughout the village, even though they have to have it from us.
I think they're also good for a year, if I recall, so there's very possible that they might have gotten one last year and just kind of working off the tail end of a permit, so you can always ask them, we'll look into it and let them know.
Yeah, when anybody knocks on my door who's soliciting, I ask them where present their permit. And that really is what tells me what's going on, because I usually know already, but that doesn't mean everything, you know.
They have to get approved here anyway, don't they?
Yes,
If
and I
it's
think,
after village hours, you can call 911 yourself, and I have done that. And the town of Manlius responds right away.
Yes, they do.
And they really do check out what's going on. Because I've had aggressive people at my house too. And
Does this include, all organizations, whether they're private companies or religious organizations?
I don't believe so. I believe that if they're going there for sales, like if you're going, for instance, to get signatures on your independent nominating petitions, you don't get a solicitor's permit from us.
So if
Or
you're
anything
walking
like-
around,
You're walking around trying to sell services or even giving information about, I mean, we have another one that is it called Citizens for Campaign for the Environment. They don't necessarily sell anything, but I think they accept donations, so they've always gotten a permit from us
and
as
what
well.
about religious organizations?
I don't know.
I don't think they do, because like if you get I'll just use a Jehovah's Witness or whoever that goes door to door, whatever the religion is, I don't think they've ever I've never approved a solicitor's permit from a religious.
But they're allowed to, my question.
I
is-
believe so. It's
They're specifically exempt in the codes, just as political affiliate.
Are they
Political
specifically exempt in our code? Are they?
I'd have to
And you can
double check.
always, anybody can put a no solicitors sign on their door, on their front of their house too. In a window, on their door, whatever, so that. helps to keep-
Okay.
keep
The answer for.
People away too.
Oh, no, I find it very humorous.
I challenge.
Oh, my
We
God.
have
I'm
a
like,
lot of
oh, here we go.
Not really. I think, what, do we have a handful?
Maybe 2 a year.
Yeah,
maybe.
not a lot.
Well, we get the fish guy down here that we approved.
Okay.
We get
Yeah.
this, we get people sometimes selling windows or selling different products or whatever. This is kind of.
There's door to door. I know that he does,
Oh.
John Seafood does get a solicitor permit, but they don't go.
But they don't go door to door. They
Right.
just set up in the village. Here we go.
So, yeah.
And I don't know how to think about whether, is there criteria for when we approve and when we don't?
We really we can't deny it, basically.
Okay,
We can set the parameters, and that's what I said. So usually it's, I don't remember the times off the top of my head, but it's, certain hours of the day. So you can't go at 7 o'clock in the morning, you can't go at 9 o'clock at night, as extreme examples, but we have set hours that,
No Sundays.
no Sundays, different things like that. So we can
Can't go
set,
during baby's nap time.
oh,
We-
I've made that mistake.
we can,
Walking dogs,
oh yeah, we can set the parameters, but we can't really deny that.
okay.
So that's what we.
Like police reports or.
We do ask for background check and things like that. That's what I think we were waiting for
They're
on
waiting
this
for
one
that.
last time or whatever, so.
Yeah, we have good, I would call them good guide rails. As long as they've met all of those, then they get their permit and they have to stay within them.
Not happy, you call 911.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna check it out. Thank you, Mary. Good for you.
Does that answer the questions you had, Casey?
Yes. Thanks,
Okay.
everyone.
We didn't vote on that.
So, okay, all in favor?
Uh,
Okay, thank you. Next is an Arbor Day proclamation, so. This is, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and now is observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our village increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas for 23 consecutive years, the Village of Fayetteville received the Tree City USA Award from the National Arbor Day Foundation, evidence of the village's continuing commitment to trees. And whereas Arbor Day is being celebrated nationally this year, being its 150th anniversary, and is acknowledged on this special occasion with all members of the community, both young and old. Now therefore, I, Michael Small, Mayor of Fayetteville, do proclaim April 25th, 2024, Arbor Day in the Village of Fayetteville, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant and care for trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this future generation. Dated today, April 14th, 2025. That fulfills part of our obligation for being a tree city. We have to have Arbor Day.
That's great.
Okay. Next is
Like you said, 24, is that correct?
Yeah, no, it's 2025.
25. Well, maybe I read it
I'd
out.
say, yeah.
We might have changed that yet, but we will.
It's a typo. We'll fix that.
I read what was on.
I don't want to.
You did good. You read well.
The test.
Well, I failed. But that's what I'm talking October instead of April, so we're not really doing too good on dates today. Next is a parade permit, so a motion for the Fayetteville Memorial Day Parade Committee has my permission as mayor of Fayetteville to hold a Memorial Day Parade on Monday, May 26th, 2025 at 9 a.m.
So move.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
I think we all should wear the same uniform.
I think so.
Yeah.
What do you propose, Jamie?
Want special t-shirts?
Yeah.
No, I do not.
Game.
We'll talk about it again.
What is the process if an organization wanted to be a part of the parade? What is the process for that?
So typically they would contact the village office here. Typically that organization has to be kind of like a nonprofit, not a business type of organization. That's what's been traditionally in the past. And then I guess it would just have to go through a simple review process to decide whether they would be appropriate for the Memorial Day Parade or not. And I don't have like that particular guideline like written down, but I guess we've
That's fine.
used our judgment or discussed it in the past as and come up with a decision based upon what it is and how it is or why it is. So, yeah. Okay, do we need to have a motion about the meeting on the 21st? I know we said it at the other meeting, but do you want to, is this just a reminder or is it a thing that you want a motion about?
You can make a motion.
Don't move, if we have a meeting on the 21st.
Okay, motion for a special meeting on April 21st at 6 o'clock in this room, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll go around the table. Ted, do you have anything for us? Lori? Dan?
I've got some comment on when we do the budget, but not right now.
Okay.
Other than that,
Oh. Okay.
I, think everything's going okay. Left a couple messages with, on the DPW, they're very good at responding to them. Thank you there. Tried to find our fire chief once in a while, but he and I sort of dodge each other. We waved each other. Doing everything. Everything's good. Paul and I get together a lot. I think sometimes he says it's been too much. Yes.
Dan?
Just updates. As Bobby mentioned, the cottage is coming along quite nicely. And so we're going to continue working on it. I mentioned last meeting that I was going to look in, wait a minute, sorry. Yeah, all right, so some tree removal and park related comments. Do Good Park, which is Do Good and Golden Parks are our mountain biking parks. Mark Miller, who is the chair of the tree commission, was able to connect with.
Parks Commission.
Pardon?
You said tree, but it's Parks
Sorry.
Commission. You're okay,
See?
fine. Every time I make sure that-
Moving off on me.
No, no.
The Parks Commission was able to connect with some folks who run a tree removal business. They are also avid mountain bikers, so they are going to help them remove, they have close to 100 dead trees in those two parks that are, some of which are being very dangerous because they're right along the trail for the biking. So don't remember the name of this group. I emailed it to you. Anyway, he took it upon himself to figure this out, to get connected with them. They're going to charge $50 a tree and they'll be able to take down quite a few trees. And that cost is within the Parks Commission's budget. So it's covered. We already appropriated those monies for last year.
Do we know the name? Do we have their insurance?
We
need to
can,
have
we'll get
the-
all that, we'll get all that to you. I meant to come into your office earlier.
Lime kiln, tree.
Lime kiln.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to have. all
So
their-
we should have a motion then that we're going to hire this company and.
We are hiring now.
Right, we are.
So, so I make a motion that we retain the services of Lime Kiln Tree Service to remove up to 100 trees in Do Good Park.
Not to exceed the $5,000.
Not to exceed $5,000.
And is that okay in our procurement policy or no?
Well, we can discuss it later, I suppose. Can we just table this until the 21st? It's not,
Can we do?
do we have any other quotes?
No,
It's-
they
We
they
had the
did-
one quote
yes,
for
we do.
$100 a tree
He-
from
he
somebody
reached
else.
out.
We just need 3 written quotes and we can accept them as.
So let's do it at our meeting on the 21st. We'll get all our ducks in order. I think everybody's on board with it. I
Yes.
think it's just a matter of making sure we have everything in place before we go forward.
In the insurance.
Well, yeah, that whoever we would hire would
Well,
have. to-
before they can start working, they'd have to
Whoever would
provide
be
that
would have
to
to
us,
do that.
otherwise. That it's kind of two different things, but the same.
So you have one written quote already,
Mark Miller has the quote.
the 2 quotes.
But you have Aaron and Margentos. Or just a verbal from him.
Just a verbal.
So we have to get it written from him and then we'll have to see if anybody else can provide.
Okay.
with
What
one.
about Reach out.
Or we can do that.
Send the
I
wrong-
can get a quote, but it'll be astronomically high.
Okay, so we'll do that, but that's a good plan and a
Right.
more reasonable plan for us to accommodate getting rid of
Right.
all the trees rather than just part of them.
And I met with about 6 folks who are gardeners already at the community garden, and they are interested in working together collectively for a community garden bed. So we're gonna start that. And one of the items we're gonna start with is providing fresh herbs and other edibles for the senior center. We so sorry.
Edible
Inside
herbs.
jokes. No,
Sorry, I'm late.
sorry.
I'm way too behind on that one.
Okay,
You might all want to go get lunch.
I love it.
Anyway,
Top of
So-
salmon, right?
there is an interest. We're gonna give it a try. We've got 2 beds we're gonna work on, and we're gonna keep it at a management level. I've been talking to Bobby already about how to improve those beds. There will be a lot of private beds as well, so private gardening going on, so. We'll see where it takes us.
Are they all taken?
No,
They're not.
no.
And-
This is the hard part about this, the location of these beds, is that. I don't know when it was originally located. I'm assuming when it was originally located, there was sunshine across the entire 21 set of beds. But now there's not. Half of the beds are in shade. So many folks don't even try, like those beds don't even get taken. I don't know how many trees there's a row of trees that are growing. Obviously in shading the area. I don't know how many trees would need to come down or how to trim them to make sure there's more sun. So that is a problem. I don't know how long the entire set of beds are gonna be viable. For us, and I'm not prepared to make any recommendations. I don't know, Bobby, if you wanna go out there and look at them or.
So I think half the problem is those trees are right on the property line, so they're not entirely our trees. So. I think
it wouldn't happen for this year, but we can always look. I mean, we've discussed different uses for that property over the years. I think it was put back there to kind of keep some more of that property more viable. The place to have the community garden would be out in that middle area from the memory garden towards Genesee Street where it's wide out in the open.
Yeah,
to sun
relocating it, but
and
that's
things. So that's an expense or whatever that we'll have to look at as time
Yeah.
goes by. If we decide to continue the community garden aspect of things, it might be worth, again, planning on that expense at some point, maybe not doing it this year or
Yeah.
next, but kind of coming up with an idea of what that might entail, what we could reuse of the existing fencing and things like that to move it and then see where we go with it from there. But
I look forward to that dialogue, and I would just add that, DPW did do work on the trees at one point when this was brought up in the past, so they have done, he did a fair amount of clearing that added some filtered sunlight, but, you know, the gardens don't necessarily work. If the peak for me, I don't have sun in my yard, so we tried, and without the sun, it's tricky.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, Mark?
Actually, there's really only one thing I want to make sure we don't forget about this Saturday at 9 a.m. at the senior center. We have the Easter egg hunt. I just want to remind everyone for that one. And we'll be putting together a prize baskets for 3 different groups, our 1 to 4-year-olds, our 5 to 8-year-olds, and our 9 and up. And I guess the best way to look at it is we can hope for no rain. That makes it easier for us. It's supposed to be warm enough, but of course, with the rain, it's sort of always the issue. We always work our way around it. So we'll play it by the numbers and do what we have to do in order to make sure it happens. But you know, these folks are all welcome to be there. We encourage you to be there. So. And that'll be pretty much where I end, because everything else is being shifted around because of the holiday too. Bobby and I were talking about different things with the trash and recycling and the composting as well. So it's really interesting.
Casey?
I just wanted to speak to our public through their minutes that I felt very honored to attend the annual banquets of the Fayetteville Fire and EMS Department, as well as the Town of Manlius Police Department in the last couple of weeks. And that's not something I would have done if I hadn't been a trustee. And both of those events not only look at the past year, they celebrate milestones and outstanding accomplishments of our dedicated first responders. And the stories of heroism, lives saved, property protected, and creative methods in both departments, were how they're always striving to serve the community better, is very inspiring. And I think I would like to see residents maybe check out their social media sites. At this point, both of them have photographs on social media that you can get to see a little bit more about who received some of those awards. We're just in really good hands. And then my second piece is that, thanks to Lori, we have a copy for the trustees of the community forest management plan that will be in the office. So we have that, and our next steps are, it's a long list of next steps, and we'll start with Bobby, Tyler, and whatever clerk is going to help us a bit to figure out procedures for ensuring we maintain our database now, to track our progress for future grant writing, and to ensure that we're utilizing our resources most effectively. Part of the Tree Commission's goal is to make its own annual plan, so we'll be doing that, and that's a calendar year plan in coordination with DPW. So we have some stuff to work out. And I like to note, because I'm a planner, the completion of the inventory and management plan completely satisfy strategies we committed to in our comprehensive plan. And then as a liaison to the Matilda Johnson Cage Center, I just want to bring up, you know, they recently were notified that a grant that they had for reading and discussion group has been paused due to executive order. And I don't know that everyone knows this, but the main purpose of the Gage Center is not so much to be a house museum, but to prompt dialogue. And one of the another point about the Matilda Johnson Cage Center is that it has an artist in residence. And I just wanted to note that that person, Vanessa Johnson, has worked there for many years and done tremendous programming. And she will be doing programming this summer as well. She specifically works with the Girls Ambassadors program, which is really wonderful program connecting populations of girls who would never otherwise meet. Sometimes that has been countries, some different parts of our county. And if you want to see an example of Vanessa's work, it's on exhibition at the Art Rage Gallery. She had an opening on Saturday, and it really is such powerful work. For those of us who live down toward the east, we're happy to see that DOT repaired the signalized crossing equipment. near the Brookside neighborhood, so that reestablishes that as a safe corridor for us to travel from one side to the other. And, that's it.
Anybody else have anything? Mary?
Several years ago, I picked up a flyer in the Fayetteville Library that talked about the different trees, the older trees, the one that's in the park here that's grafted. I can't locate where that is and how to get that available to look at.
I'll drop it off this afternoon.
Well, it just should be in the library or in these villages. I'm not asking for me. It was an excellent thing. And then when I went back to get another one, people in the library didn't know. I think I asked people here. So I just wish it was available in the library and here. Cause that's,
We could do both of those things. I also agree that I loved it when I got it from the library many years ago. It's still, is historically relevant.
it was
It's
an
really
excellent
great.
and should not be lost.
And we do have a supply of them, so we can put some here in village office.
Right, and then just keep resupplying now because people at the library didn't know where they came from. And, yeah, well, I don't know who I asked here. I don't.
No, we ran out of paper copies a while ago,
so
and I
it's-
think whatever I was able to resurface was a link that the Fayetteville Library had to write. They have at least retained it, a digital copy on their website, and it may not be as obvious to find, but I'm pretty sure there's
And it-
still links on their website, and we'll
And
try to
It's a
create
nice
that
thing
here.
to have available Arbor Day or some different festivals or whatever for people to.
Right.
There's some trees in the cemetery, some on private property. They're beautiful trees. And
Yeah.
And the grafted tree here is that's just so interesting.
Yeah.
So that was it. I just was hoping that didn't get lost somewhere.
Well,
It should be available.
one of your neighbors actually handed some copies. So we have some copies that she had been on the tree commission and she handed, so she has
Yeah,
provided.
they could be
copies.
stocked, somewhere so that they're available. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. So we do need a motion to go into executive session for
Like-
personnel. There you go. I'm gonna say it, Karen, because Karen told me to say this. I must say it. So we do have one person who faithfully watches our meetings, because she lives in Florida and doesn't live here, and she's sends several emails about our meetings and about ideas and suggestions and reminiscing about when she did live here. And that is Edwina, and her birthday is on Wednesday, the 16th. So happy birthday for Edwina on behalf of myself and the board and for your participation, even long distance as it is. So with that, a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Yep. Oh, yeah, correct. Sorry, Gwen.
I don't care when the meetings are, at 6 or 11, but last couple of weeks, months when you've been doing it, it really has not increased what's here at 11. And I don't care if you continue it, but if somebody decides to run, that's a younger person and they have a day job, I assume at that time, we'll go back to the evening meetings.
So when
They should be able to run and be able to attend evening meetings.
Right, so what we did was we had two meetings that were like 3 o'clock in the afternoon because of circumstances.
Right.
And that's how it kind of turned into what we're doing currently. When we voted to do this, we said we would do it, I have to look back in the minutes, for 2 to 3 months, just to see how this worked out. Some people like this time, some people don't like this time, on the board, public, whatever. So we are going to revisit it probably at one of our meetings in May. In June, July, and August, we typically only meet once a month. That would be at the 6 o'clock time. So I'm assuming that sometime between May and June, we will decide what we're going to be doing going forward, not only for those months, but for the future. And yes.
I mean, this is, like I said, I don't care if someone younger wants to run, I don't. I just think they
Right.
should be able to run and be able to get to the, if they have a nurse, a school teacher, something that, a job where they cannot.
Correct.
Should be.
The only reason
should
it
have
was given a consideration was for staffing purposes, for perhaps different professionals that come in and present to the boards at certain times, and for the general public that might be not able to want to drive at night or come out at night to certain meetings. But right, I understand what your point is, but that's the reasoning behind why we talked about looking into this. I agree with you, and I think others do, that this may be not the best time, so gonna revisit that next month or whatever, in May sometime, and we'll go forward with that. Was there anything else? Or
Yes.
is that? We're waiting to hear the results of the final phase of the second lawsuit that was brought against the village.
They go up to the next level.
They went to the third level, and we are waiting to hear a decision whether that's going to be heard at that level or dismissed at that level.
It's third and final level, right?
Correct. This is the last level that it can go to, but we
But
have,
they may not even hear it, so if they don't hear it, it's done.
correct,
And if they do hear it, then it could be months.
could be longer,
Could be
right?
years.
It's a shame.
I'm
Really.
just curious.
So again, that enters into our budget and the expenses of the village, because we've had to defend ourselves through 2 different lawsuits. And we have lost the revenue of a grocery store
Yeah.
assessment on that piece of property as opposed to a vacant piece of property.
Yeah.
So it's hurt us 2 different ways within our budgeting process here and village taxpayers in general, so.
All that property.
Not sure right now.
I don't even know.
And it's a total mess all the way
Yeah.
around it. It's
Yeah,
a total mess.
Yeah.
The
So-
backside of it is gross.
And you're not gonna do anything after the executive session.
no, not after the executive session. So motion to move.
I'm sorry, I apologize, and I know you want to go. Just what's going on across the street here? When is that? What's going in there and when will it be completed, you know?
Into the restaurant.
Yeah, what is it? You know?
They haven't said yet.
Oh, someone said it was the one that's downtown. It's
It's related to the owners down.
Oh, I see. Okay. What's that?
Victoria.
Oh,
There was an article in the Syracuse.com, and basically they were hoping to be able to open it by October, but I don't know where they're going because of different things with their development, and what's happening, so it's always a question.
it's gonna be nice.
Okay,
Good. Okay, thanks. I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for being here.
Moved.
Second.
Moved.